You are sitting in a waiting room. Your phone is dead. There is nothing to look at but a clock on the wall. Your skin starts to itch with a feeling you cannot quite name. It feels like nothing, but it is not nothing. It is one of the oldest survival systems in your body, and it has been quietly running since before you were born. You call it boredom. Scientists call it something stranger. They call it a warning light. Most people think boredom is a flaw, an empty space where interest should be. Something to fix with a screen, a snack, a scroll, but the real answer is far stranger. Boredom did not evolve to punish you. It evolved to keep you alive. Think about that for a second. Every emotion you have was shaped by something. Fear kept your ancestors away from cliffs and predators. Disgust kept them away from rotten meat. So what was boredom built to protect them from? The answer is staying still. For most of human history, staying in one place for too long was a death sentence. If the same patch of forest was picked clean of berries and you stayed there anyway, you starved. If the same watering hole dried out and you didn't move on, you died of thirst. Comfort was never safe. Familiarity was never safe. The environment was always changing, and the humans who kept moving, kept exploring, kept trying new things were the ones who survived long enough to have children. Boredom, it turns out, is the feeling of a system that notices you have stopped learning. Dr. John Eastwood, a psychologist at York University who has spent much of his career studying this exact feeling, describes boredom as the unpleasant experience of wanting to be engaged in a satisfying activity, but being unable to do so. Notice what that definition does not say. It does not say boredom is the absence of stimulation. It says boredom is the absence of meaningful engagement. You can be surrounded by noise and still feel it. You can be doing something and still feel it. What matters is not how much is happening around you. What matters is whether your mind believes any of it is going anywhere. That distinction changes everything. Your ancestors were not bored because they had nothing around them. The savannah was full of sounds, smells, movement. They were bored when the routine stopped teaching them anything new. And that boredom pushed them toward the tree line, past the ridge, into unfamiliar territory where the real risks lived. Which sounds like the opposite of safety, but here is the twist. The humans who ignored that itch to explore did not pass on their genes as often as the ones who followed it. This is where it gets interesting. Psychologist James Dankert, who has co-authored some of the most cited work on the neuroscience of boredom, found that people who struggle to regulate boredom well are more likely to make impulsive, risky decisions just to escape the feeling. Not because they are broken, because the drive underneath boredom is ancient and powerful. It does not care whether the outlet is healthy, it only cares that something changes. So when you feel restless scrolling through your phone at 2 a.m., part of you is doing something your ancestors did around a fire 40,000 years ago, searching for anything new, anything different, anything that breaks the pattern. Here is where the modern mismatch begins. Your ancestors' boredom pushed them toward rivers, unexplored valleys, new tools, new food sources, real novelty, with real information attached to it. Your boredom today gets hijacked by an app designed by people who understand this exact instinct better than you do. Every swipe promises the same reward your brain evolved to crave, something new. But nothing actually changes. You are exploring nothing. You are moving without moving. This is not a coincidence. It is an exploit. Neuroscientist Marcus Reichel, who helped identify what is now called the brain's default mode network, showed that even when you are doing nothing at all, your brain is far from idle. It shifts into a different mode entirely, one linked to memory, imagination, and planning for the future. In other words, boredom is not empty time. It is the exact condition your brain needs to stitch together ideas that focused attention cannot reach. Some of history's biggest breakthroughs came not during furious effort, but during walks, showers, long stretches of nothing. The mind left alone will eventually start building, which means every time you fill the gap instantly, you are interrupting a process your brain was designed to run. Think about how differently this plays out today. A child on a long car ride used to stare out the window, invent games, argue with a sibling, imagine entire worlds. Now a screen fills that gap in seconds. Nothing against the screen itself, but something is lost in the exchange. The old boredom used to end in invention. The new boredom ends in consumption. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you.